Ourselves. So, hello everyone, John Borter,
Trish Smith.
and we're here to kind of re-record our Doyle Irish stick fighting session that we had with them. Apologies, we had some technical issues that didn't come through, so we're taking some time to try to cover all or most of the information that we covered during the seminar. So we do apologize for any inconvenience there. So we want to make perfectly clear that this is for seminar participants only. We don't put Doyle instructionals out there in the public domain. So we're going to go on the honor system that whatever we have on this video, you're going to keep it to yourselves, share amongst yourselves. But this is strictly for the people that signed up for the seminar, just so we're clear. Okay. So listen, again, thank you for your patience on this. We'll try to recoup everything that we talked about on the seminar. So let's get started a little bit. But we're going to go over some very basic moves, basic techniques of the Doyle Irish stick fighting system. Irish stick fighting, to kind of play a little bit of history that we talked about before, goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. Some people say thousands of years, back to the Celts, and that there's some past that believe that Doyle, just Irish stick fighting in general, comes from the sword fighting of the Celtic societies. For years and years and years, this was never taught outside of the family, right? They were separated by families, by factions, that kind of stuff. We'll get into that a little bit, but within the Doyle system, it was father to son, father to son, father to son, because it was a very violent, competitive time, and you don't want to teach other stick fighters your techniques and your concepts and your systems. So the patriarch of the Doyle system, Glenn Doyle, who actually resides in Canada, in the mid-90s, was given permission by his father, Greg Doyle, to teach it outside the family. So for a number of years, he did teach it. Recently, he passed the system on to our instructor, Bernie Letty, out of Leitrim, Ireland, and we've been fortunate enough to be able to train with him. So we'll talk a little bit about the history of it. Irish stick fighting really was kind of some people think a bit of a low point in Irish history, because there was a lot of violence. They were being occupied by the British. The British basically outlawed weapons, and so they converted to walking sticks, basically. And they became masters of fighting on the walking stick. They were done in factions. Factions could be a group of families, a group of counties, a group of provinces, that kind of stuff. So they all kind of had their own way to do things, and it was a very aggressive time during Irish history, where if somebody had a beef with someone, they would take it to the stick. They'd get out there and they'd have these challenge matches, these grudge matches. Any issues you had, you looked wrong and said, put it the wrong way, you insulted somebody's mother, whatever the case may be. If there's any kind of a grudge, a lot over land, what happened, ownership of land, they would go out with sticks, and sometimes it'd be groups of 1, 2, 10, 50. At one point, there was a group of almost 2,000 people that got into a fight using Irish sticks. About 200 people or so died reportedly. So I think what started out as I guess a friendly competition. They beat each other up, and whoever won, and they shook hands and went home. Eventually kind of escalated or elevated to very violent encounters. What happened was the British said can't have weapons anymore. So there were no swords, no bladed weapons, that kind of stuff. They had no choice. They could carry a walking stick or a shillelagh that we'll talk about in a second. And they found they became very effective fighters with those. So, anything?
Yeah, one of the really interesting parts of the Doyle lineage for the system is that way back in the day, of course, when the British were occupying Ireland, they wanted to sell their alcohol to the Irish. The Irish had other ideas because they had their own alcohol. Every family pretty much had their own still. They brewed their own alcohol. Why would they buy British alcohol when they could just make their own or get it from their neighbor? So there were some pretty big altercations that would break out over the stills, and you would have the British hiring some of the local guys to go and basically destroy these stills. Well, the still owners would then hire people to protect them, and the Doyles got a pretty good reputation, so they kind of became the name in still protection, I guess you could call it. Kind of lends to the lineage of the system.
That's a good point. We call our faction, our club, Dance of the Whiskey Stick. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but the context of whiskey stick comes from two different things. One, as Trish was saying, they were hired to protect the whiskey mills, using these kind of things. Two, there's also some historical data that says that they would cure the sticks in whiskey and put them up a chimney in order to to bring strength and to the stick as well. So whiskey stick has a couple connotations, but our club is called the Dance of the Whiskey Stick. We'll get into that more as we get into it as well. So typically, what was used, I'll get a little closer to the camera, was this. If you recognize this, this is a shillelagh right from Ireland. It's got a nice root ball on the end. The shaft has some pretty thick thorns on it. These things at one point before they're shaved off are razor sharp. There's going to be something we'll show you in a little bit called jumping the stick. We can tell that this was not something that was ever used as a fighting stick because there's thorns all the way down it. What the Irish fighters would typically do is they would shave wherever they put their hands. So they wouldn't, because again, these have been shaved down, let's be clear. These things are razor sharp. So you have to be very cautious. And they would say they were going to do a block or something, they would call jump the stick. So they would shave here and here, and they'd shave here and here, and everything else had thorns on it. We can use those thorns to jab, to rake, to do some pretty nasty things considering they're razor sharp. This particular one is made of blackthorn. They also made it in ash, oak, that kind of stuff. But blackthorn's kind of become a recognized wood for that. And you know a lot about blackthorn.
Yeah.
Stuff, so.
What's really interesting is it is a very tough wood. That's why they used it. If it was not, they wouldn't have been. But like John said, they did use other woods. That you used whatever you had. You didn't go searching for a specific wood if you didn't have it nearby. Blackthorn is, like I said, it's a shrub. It grows wild in Ireland. It's a weed. It grows kind of like blackberry or black raspberry does in the U.S. You can't get rid of it. And it's a shrub. It's not a tree. People think, oh, it's, a hardwood tree. No, it's a shrub. And it grows, what's really cool is it grows like this. So the root ball, that handle on the bottom, that's underground. That's the root. And they cut it off at the root ball. They shape it and they cure it. But yeah, it's not a tree. It's not like oak or ash. It's just a woody shrub that is very tough.
Very tough. I'll tell you a quick little story. Just going off on a tangent. I actually ordered one of these from Ireland, from Liam, an old shillelagh shop, fantastic stick maker. And it actually arrived damaged. About this far up, it was basically busted and curved at a 45-degree angle. And I called him, and it wasn't his fault. It was a shipping issue, that kind of stuff, totally great. And he said, "Go ahead and send it back to me." I could. Before I did, so maybe I'll see if I can straighten it out a little bit. And it was just this thing again. It's a branch, right? It's a shrub. It was busted at about 45 degrees. I decided I'm going to try to straighten this out, and I put everything I could into this, man. I was just like, I could not move this thing. I could not straighten a broken stick because it's that tough. It's just amazing. So most of the ones that we have are blackthorn. Again, that's kind of, I don't say traditional Irish thing, but that's how it eventually became known, as the stick to have for shillelaghs, and apparently from the shillelagh forest, which was a huge oak forest, by the way, which shillelagh kind of became the recognized name that the British assigned to fighting sticks from the Irish. So, tell you a little bit more about Doyle, and then we'll get started with some basics and some warm-ups. Thank you. Doyle is a very aggressive system. It's a very assertive system. Right? It's always going forward, always going forward. Very little retreating. The only time I'm going to step back is if I want to gain a little space so I can re-enter it. There is not a lot of this going on, right? Very little bit of that. What happens is when someone strikes, my goal is to get in here, get close, take the person out, take the person down. It's not a sparring system. It's a fighting system, and the systems have been combat tested and combat worn. So keep that in mind. It is based on two primary martial arts, I guess to say. One would be boxing. You're going to see that a lot of the motions that we do are very boxing oriented. The footwork's very boxing. A lot of the techniques look like boxing, uppercuts, crosses, that kind of stuff. What happened way back in the day when they had these faction fights, you'd have family members fighting with you against other family members, or townspeople fighting with you against other townspeople. And if you use that standard kind of big stick thing, we'd be getting into a fight ready to go, and I'd go to hit this person, go bang, oh geez, I'm sorry, kind of thing. And one of the Doyle descendants, or one of the Doyle relatives, was a pugilist, was a boxer. And he quickly realized, geez, these boxing moves, it's very, very close range. It's very, very, very easy to do those techniques without running the risk of hurting my family member or my faction brother or sister. Also, without opening myself up to an inside strike, because I'm very close. Everything's going to be here. Not saying that there's not swinging strikes in Doyle. All right, there are a few. but it's not like you see in most stick systems, so it's really kind of cool. 3, we teach it from a conceptual standpoint. I know we're talking about Irish stick, we're talking about different things, but the way we do it from a self-defense standpoint is you can do these same techniques with a cane, with an umbrella, with a walking stick. You know, it's all conceptual. Right? Again, Glenn Doyle is the patriarch of the system. He's since semi-retired up in Canada. About a year and a half ago, like we're talking about, he turned the system over to Bernie Leddy. Bernie has been doing amazing things to grow the system worldwide. It's been absolutely fantastic. One of the things we do talk about is one of our favorite sayings that comes from Bernie is everything is everything. When we first started training in this, we'd be like, well, is that a strike? And he'd say, yeah. And I go, well, could that be a block? He's like, yeah. You know, is that this, and this? He's like, yep, it is. Everything is everything means that you're going to see a technique and it can be interpreted many, many different ways. And that's some of the most brilliant martial arts actually do that. The body mechanics and the system are fantastic. And we talked a little bit about the factions. We'll get into a little bit more as that as we go into it. So, anything else?
No.
Okay, let's do a quick warm up. All right, we're just going to hold our stick. If you have one in your right hand, about a third of the way down. Let's just start with the head. So we're going to go ear to shoulder, just a little bit. Then we're going to go front to back. I'm just going to go side to side. Just do a quick warm up for you guys. All right, take the shoulders and roll them back just a little bit. And then rolling forward. Excellent. All right, we're going to do I like to call this the swimmer stretch or over under. So the stick's on the top of the arm, on the bottom of the arm. Swimmer stretch because it looks like you're getting ready to dive into the pool and take a dip. So good. Excellent. Take your left hand and kind of support your right shoulder so it doesn't move. Just swing the stick forward. If you're not in a house or apartment, be careful you don't break any light fixtures. I have many stories about me breaking light fixtures and lamps. This particular technique is called close the circle. And then we're just going to go backwards and we're going to open that circle a bit. When you do this, I want you to reach that stick up. Reach it up as high as you can go. Trying to stretch out those muscles in those tendons. Good. We'll just switch to the other side. All right. Secure that shoulder. Big shoulder going forward. Big stretch. And backwards. I don't know if you guys can hear it on the video. It's like Rice Krispies over here in this. Excellent. Oh. From here, we're just gonna loosen up the waist just a little bit. And we'll go a couple ways the other direction. We'll just quickly just loosen up the knees. The other way. All right. Take your stick, put it on your chest like you're lifting weights and just stretch. Stretch. Again, stretching is the key. Try to get as high as you can go. Feel those shoulders kind of really stretch out. Back down. One more time. Stretch. Stretch, 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 stretch. Try to touch the ceiling. Good. And the third time we're going to go up. We're just going to kind of lean back a little bit. Try to get a little bit into the lower back. And back down. Great. From here, we're going to do a technique, and we're going to just take the right palm, right back with the right hand, and put it up against the left shoulder, like this. And then we come down and roll it back up again. So this is called punching the shoulder. There is a technique related to this. Thing is, you don't want to have it real tight. You want to let it hang down, let it roll across your body. Do a few of those, get you guys warmed up a little bit. A lot of people tend to bend those elbows. You want to keep them down, as hanging down as low as you can. Then as you do it, you can pick up the pace a little bit more. That'll loosen up. All right. And then one more. Stand in kind of a parallel stance. Take the stick, put it on your left hip. And we're doing what we call crescent moon. If that's the arc of the motion. So we're going to bring this up and over to the other side. It's like this. You go back and forth. Just a little pivot on that rear foot. Right. This is actually a technique. What you're intending to do is take this end of the stick and boom, right into the face. Or on the other side, boom, right into the face. All right, so that's the logic behind that motion. Right? Excellent. We're going to throw one more at you, which is a little more advanced, just have a little fun. We're going to add a thrash. Like I said, there's not a lot of big sweeping motions in Doyle. They're usually much more close quarter. But a thrash is I'm going to come up, I'm going to do it a couple of times, then we'll explain how it works. Right here, you're sweeping out with that stick. sweeping now with that stick, here, boom. And it looks like this, you come up, you turn your wrist over, and you spin the baton and come back. Come up, turn the wrist over, swing the baton, come back, here. Boom. Plenty of time when you're, click off that video to check that out. Now the two kind of applications I see on this is one, maybe I'm trying to take somebody's head off. Like this is a power shot. Here, bam, or maybe I'm doing it lower and breaking the knee. Or I'm just trying to clear space. In the context of faction fighting, when you've got a group of people, large group, sometimes very, very large group, you want to clear some space out. So if you have a bunch of people around you, you might be just kind of pulling people off at this point by doing a thrash until you can find that entry point to get into. Make sense? All right, good. Just kind of shake it off a little bit, swim a little bit. Good. Excellent. And that'll be our warm-ups for this. Okay, so why don't we let's get into some basic footwork. There's just this very specific pattern I like to follow to get that through. So right now, just take your stick and just hold up on your right shoulder like this. Right? Doyle is a right side lead system. Some people say, oh, strong side, weak side, doesn't matter. It's a right side lead system, right? If you look at some other martial arts like JKD and other different systems, it's a right lead system. We're not talking left hand and right hand, right? And what it is you're gonna have your right foot forward, knees slightly bent, up on the weight is on the ball of your rear foot this way. Okay, so I don't like using the terminology bend your knee or lift your heel. I don't like because people do this and it throws their structure off really, really badly. So all I do is just shift your weight to the ball of your foot. And the first footwork, we're gonna do 4 directions. It's called the 4 green fields. It's gonna be front, back, left, and right. Right. So here's how this works. And there's very specific reasons they do footwork the way they do, and we'll get into a little bit as we get into it. So shoulder width, shoulder length. Your step is just basically whatever your basic step would be. So if you just take a simple step forward, there's your gait. Perfect. Right, there's your stance. Going forward, it's heel toe drag. So it's heel toe drag. Heel toe drag. Back up a little bit. Here. Heel toe drag. Heel toe drag. All right. One more time. Heel toe drag. Heel toe drag. All the footwork, which you have to be careful about not falling into, what I call the tightrope. Right? In other words, a lot of people start out wide, but as soon as they step, they end up like this. That throws your balance off left or right. You don't want that to happen. You also don't want to come and bring it all the way up here because now your balance is off front to back. Right? So you always want to be shoulder width, shoulder length, basically. Right? So heel toe drag, heel toe drag. Good. That's the front. So the back, you actually, this is one of the few times that we're going to separate ourselves. We're going to go backwards, and it's usually because I'm trying to get out of the way. If she's throwing a stick at me, right? I don't want to step backwards because I don't go back very far. What you do is you take that back leg and you kick it back so you get a drag to it, right? So from here, she comes in, you kick it back so it drags. So we'll combine those together. So we're going to go front, we'll go drag, front, we'll go drag, backwards, kick back that leg, kick back that leg. One more time, front, front, back, and back. Excellent, beautiful. So now we're going to go to the left. This is where it gets a little more fun. The systems that I've learned, I've experiencing quite a few, typically the logic has been to move the closest foot in that direction first. So if I'm going to my left, it would be this. Right, I think my left foot. Doesn't work that way with Doyle. With Doyle, you actually step over with the front. Right? So from here, it's over this way. Okay. Now, we're going to teach a lot of this from a historical standpoint. We talk about faction fights and that kind of stuff. But there's a reason for that. In a faction fight, in a stick fight, one of the primary targets, there's a couple of primary targets. Head, of course, hands, elbows, knees, and ankle. Right? This is to avoid getting hit in the knee or the ankle. So if I'm in another stick fight, or stick fight in general, if they can't stand, they can't fight. Right? So if I'm here and I try to take out that leg and she moves with that rear foot first, that's lagging behind and that puts me as a fighter at an advantage. This footwork is designed to do this. I come in, it's not there anymore. Right? So it's designed to avoid that strike coming in from that position. So let's try that. So we're going to go moving to our left. We're going to step over with the front foot, heel toe drag, heel toe drag back into that stance. Right, heel's got to move. Right, one more time, heel toe drag. Okay, great. When we go to the right, it's toe heel drag. Toe heel drag. Toe heel drag. All right. So if we did all four of those, okay, we're gonna go front, heel toe drag, back, toe heel drag, right, left, step over, heel toe drag, right, toe heel drag. Right, one more time. Front, back, left, right, front, back, left, right. Again, there's a lot of body mechanics involved. I want you to we'll just call out a couple of things real quick. The reason you do the heel toe drag is because if I step with my toe, kind of feeling my way along, look what happens to my body, right? It will naturally want to bend backward. And I don't want to throw my structure off that way. If I do the heel, everything moves together from the core. It's a very simple concept. Most of you guys know that, I'm sure, but I like to call that out. So here. Again, the kickback is the distance. This avoids getting struck. This, on the other hand, too, we're up here in the Northeast. Right? We like to call this ice walking a little bit, because if I go outside and I'm not careful and I step with a heel, this could happen. Right? I'm using my toe to kind of feel my way around. Keep in mind a lot of faction fights in Ireland happen in wet, boggy, swampy conditions, right? Because there's a lot of rain over there around the middle of the field. So you have to make sure that you've got a solid footing at all times. Stepping forward too far, stepping off to the right, I should say too far, with my heel is going to cause a slide. I don't want that to happen. So you're kind of feeling your way. Plus, you can feel, if you're out in the field, is there a rock, is there a branch, is there an overall, is there some unfortunate body laying there, kind of thing. It's a little bit safer. So again, we'll do that one more time. So front, heel toe drag, back, kick, left, toe heel drag, and heel toe drag. Great, basic cobra. Okay, we've covered some basic footwork. Let's cover some basic strikes. We're only going to teach 3 basic strikes today. Okay, there are much more than 3, but this whole point of this session is to scratch the surface, give you some basic fundamental information about Irish stick fighting, and hopefully generate an interest where you might want to train a little bit more, right? So let's talk about stick position first. We want to get there. Okay, you're going to be in your stance, right side lead. This is going to be slightly turned and up on that, on the left foot. So sticks are going to be held in the center with the thumbs on the back of the stick. There's usually 1 to 2 fingers in between. Okay, some people prefer to go 2. You do not want to go this wide, and we'll talk about that in a second. But here, I'm going to keep it close by. Right, the stick's going to be somewhere between the chin and the solar plexus. So if I adjust this, it's pretty much between the here and where my zipper is right now. Right here, this is your guard position. We call this the reset position. So here, right. So there's your thing. What I want to do before we even get into strikes is I want to combine. I want to go back into the footwork with the stick up. All right. So from here, we're going to go front, back, left, right, front, back, left, right, front, back, left, right. One more time, front, back, left. Good, excellent, excellent. I'm doing that multiple times in case you're following along with the video, kind of give you something to follow. So when we're striking, right, again, not a lot of these big sweeping strikes. Right, if I was going to hit Trish, I'm not doing this, right? Since it's based on boxing, it's more of a punch. So how we like to say it is it comes out, it extends, almost like you're poking someone in the eye with that thumb, comes back, and it retracts back to reset position. So it's not sweeping at the shoulder, not sweeping at the elbow, it's sweeping at the wrist. 1, bam. 1, bam. Always back to reset between the techniques, okay? Because that's where you're going to be defending yourself from. So the lead strike, which is the right hand because I have my right foot forward, is here. Snap, snap, snap. Now, let's back up for 1 second. I want you to try that first. Your arm is going to be almost like a chicken wing here, right, this way. Because what's going to happen is you want this to go out and basically break against that forearm here. Right? That's your braking system. If I do it like this, it puts me in a bad structural position, a bad combative position, right? I overextend. This actually stops. You can hear it on the microphone, I hope. Boom. Boom. And that's the stick actually bouncing off my forearm, right? A little bit lower. If you do that too straight, you are going to crack your elbow. It sucks. I've done it. I do it constantly, unfortunately. It hurts. It's not a good thing. You want to bounce it back. So it's bam. Bam, 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 and bam. All right, that's the lead strike. Okay. The reverse strike is a little different. You would think it would be the exact same opposite, like this way. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's really not. What it is this comes out, bam, your hand stays where it is and it comes back. Okay, you always want that hand. I don't want to drop my hands down here. The reverse strike, on the other hand, comes out. What you're going to do with your right hand is you're going to bring it up here by your eyebrow, by your temple. Okay, so it looks like this: 1, 2, here. There are some different concepts on that. I'll tell you what I've learned and what I think about from my experience a little bit. So I get 3 things out of this motion right here. One, since historically most people are going to be right-handed, about 90% of people are right-handed. That's right, my left-handed strike. Inherently, it's not the strongest strike you can have. Okay, so what you do is you open up the chest. You let the chest muscles, let the core get involved in this strike. All right, so it's 1, 2, and right back. 2, and right back. So the first thing you're getting is you're getting, engaging the chest muscles. The second thing you're getting, I'll go from here to here. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. All right, is you're getting a little distance. Right, because this allows my body to turn a little bit more rather than just here. I go like this, right? But when I do this, it brings a different phenomenon happen to the body. For example, right? 1, 2. I can't reach Trish, but based on what I'm seeing in the camera, I have a good 6 inches there, right? So I don't twist my body, right? But when I add that salute kind of motion, 1, 2, 1, 2, it gives me that extra 6 or 8 inches. Right, so the 2 things so far is it brings the core muscles into it. It gives you distance, right? Because this is a long distance thing. Even when I'm throwing this lead, I'm stretching, trying to hit my opponent from a distance. So 1, 2. The third thing, and probably the most important thing, because it ties it all together, is the torque you get from this. It's 1, 2, right? So they give you that distance, gives you that spin, right? And adds to that power, gives you that kind of that spin at top kind of thing. I hope that makes sense to everyone. So if I do 1 and 2, 1, 2, back to reset. Elbows down. I don't know if I mentioned that in the beginning, but elbows should be down. 1, 2, 1, 2, back to here. If your elbow goes up, they're liable to get struck in a fight, something like that. So 1, 2, 3, elbow down. All right. So this back to reset position. Well, that makes sense for everyone.
Something that will help people because folks do struggle a little bit with that. The reverse strike, just because it's very different from a lot of other systems, is think about that when you're bringing that arm back, that elbow back, if you've shot archery or if you've seen Hunger Games or Robin Hood or anything like that, it's drawing that bow back. When they draw the bow, not the side. When you draw a bow, you don't stop here. You pull it all the way back and you engage everything, the core, the shoulder, everything, to pull it all the way back to your ear. Temple or ear. So think of it that way, is that you're drawing that string all the way back so you get the maximum range of motion there to get that emphasis on that strike.
One little trick that we picked up on, this is not necessarily part of Doyle, but is when I do this, I literally touch my hand. I literally touch it. Some people you see them throw it back, that's totally fine. I come up, I literally touch my temple, because it seems to me to engage that connection with the whole body. I don't turn as much unless it kind of just is, it's a connection that I really think is important. The other thing is when you come back for your reverse strike with your elbow should be up, right? And this should be as horizontal as possible. You don't want to get into this, right? And I'll tell you why, just from a biomechanical point of view. If you just stand here for a second with me, put your hand up with your elbow down, and throw it back. You're going to feel kind of everything just stop at the shoulder, right? Because this is disengaged. When you lift your elbow up, right, and throw it back, all of a sudden you're going to see your whole core kind of rotating with that. And especially when you touch it here, right, and throw it back, right? It gives you that target shoot for. You want that core, you want that rotation. If I just do this, it doesn't really give me the distance, doesn't give me the torque, doesn't really open up the chest muscles. When I come here, big difference in the strength and the power of that technique. So that's just a personal observation from me. 1, 2, just works out pretty well. The other thing I want to keep in mind is when we rotate our body, we're not just drawing the shoulder back. In other words, we're not going 1, 2. I'm over exaggerating for the camera, but 1, 2. I'm not trying to bring this back. What I'm trying to do is bring this forward, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, that way, because you're striking with a long distance weapon, right? Here's the thing about Doyle, they say long distance weapon with close quarters application, so that gets to be kind of fun. 1, 2. So don't think about just twisting this back or pulling this back. Think about twisting the body so the front shoulder comes forward, is really how we want to do it. The other thing is, as we talk about striking, we said that we want to come out and come out and back, right? So there's not a lot of this going on. To give you kind of a visual application of that, on this call, we have a bunch of people watching this video. They were either 1, the guy that used to get snapped with a towel in the locker room, or 2, the jerk who used to snap people with towels in the locker room. Because I know who you are, because I was there, I used to get snapped, all right? You don't get a lot of torque, you don't get a lot of snap from a stick, or even a towel doing this. Now that swinging motion doesn't work. It's this, boom, boom, boom. So when you think about your wrist action, okay, with the stick, you want to think about it from a towel standpoint where you're here, bam. This to me, at least to me, an Irish stick should be more like a whip than it should be like a club. Other systems have different viewpoints, other people have different, some people have different preferences. I like a lighter stick that moves fast, right? Here, that makes sense. Okay, so we did talk about stick position. I know we got off on some tangents. I want to talk about one more thing, then we'll get into footwork again, and strikes. But the reason that we have the thumb on the back, there's a couple reasons that we have thumb on the back. One is, if Trish holds her stick up without the thumb on the back, and she's going to try to block me for any particular reason, right? Watch the stick. There's a lot of wobble to it, right? You lose some of your support. But you put that thumb on the back, it's a little stronger, a little sturdy for you. So when you're doing blocks, with 2 hands, whatever, that gives you a lot more conditioning based on your thumb index. Right? The other thing is when you block and you have your thumb on the back, do anything about it, your palm is behind that stick. Right? So when you do block, man, you've got a nice firm base there to block these really super strong hits if you need to. Right? Holding it like this doesn't quite work the same. Right now, the break of the thumb is behind the stick, or I want my palm behind the stick. That'll do a slight adjustment, if that makes sense to people. All right. The other thing is, if we have any people that do sword work on the video, on the call, typically most systems, or at least the Japanese systems that I'm familiar with, will hold the sword this way, okay, with the thumbs on the top. I understand there's a little bit different hand positioning on that, but just using the thumb as an example, if I hold this in a hammer grip with my thumb on the front, right, and I go to hit, I can really only go that far because of the alignment of my wrist bones right now. As soon as you shift that, put your thumb on the back, it gives you so much more range. I haven't moved anything. My hand is still going straight for the camera. It goes from here to there by changing that thumb reaction. That actually allows you wrist extension and distance. So that's another reason why we say put the thumbs on the back of the stick. Make sense? Okay, so we talked about the 4 green fields, 4 basic directions of footwork. We talked a little bit about the lead, reverse, and there's one more strike I'm going to show you, and that's the double tap. The double tap is a cool strike, I gotta say, I love that tap. Double tap is a technique that allows you to hit someone in quick succession, just bang, 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 right? In other words, if I was fighting with Trish, I don't want to go bang, bang, bang. I don't want to do that. It's too much work. A double tap, you go like this. You throw it out. This hand stays here. Throw it out. Bounces off this hand, comes back. So it's a double hit, bang, bang, right? So in ethics, it looks like this. Right? Bang, bang, bang. You can hear it, and it's going against my hand and my forearm. You feel that noise. Right? So, bang. So you're hitting someone very quickly, twice in a row. Could be 3 times in a row. We just call it a double tap for the sake of, the demonstration. So, bang, bang. Bang, bang. You can do different levels on that. I might go head, elbow, knee, right? But it's really just bang, bang, right? So let's do this. A couple quick things on this. This hand stays where it is. It doesn't move forward and try to push it. Literally bounces back. Think of a pinball machine. All those little bumpers don't move, right? It's the ball that does the moving, right? That's what we're doing here. Bang, bang. Okay? You want this hand spread out as wide as you can. Right? 2 reasons. 1, if it's bent slightly, you don't have that firm bounce. Right? You want to have something to bounce on, right? Second reason, and please trust me on this, if you get lazy, which you will, because you're flying the stick, you're not thinking about it, I've done it myself, you're going to go bam, and that hand's going to be slightly bent. It's going to go back, and it is going to wrap those knuckles, and trust me, that hurts. You don't want to do that. Do that once or twice, you'll never do it again, right? So it's here, bang, bang, back and reset, bang, bang. Now your elbow will come up as you strike, any of these strikes, but then you always want it to come back down again, bang, 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 bang. All right. So in a stationary stance, right leg forward, slightly toe pointing in that direction. You know, heel up here. We're gonna go lead, reverse, double tap, back. Lead, reverse, double tap, back, back. Lead, reverse, double tap. Lead, reverse, double tap. Let's do a couple more times. Bang, 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 bang. Nice. Get a little warm up now? I'm gonna start taking that, especially after 30 seconds. So. All right, good. Okay, so we had a good warm up. We did go over the 3 basic strikes. Remember the 4 direction field, or 4 green fields. Let's combine the strikes and the footwork together. All right. So we did this: forward, backward, left, and right. These are always a little slightly bent. We did this: bang, bang, bang. The trick is doing this all together now. Now, one of the things I think about is in the context of beats. If you're into Filipino martial arts, you understand beats. One of my students is a professional musician. He understood it in the context of music. All right. So when you do a step, right, think of it as 2 beats. 1, 2. Heel toe, drag. Right. 1, 2. When you go backward, it's 1, 2. When you go to your left, it's 1, 2. Heel toe, drag. When you go right, it's 1, 2. Toe, heel, drag. All right. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's 1, 2. Hopefully that makes sense. When you strike, it's 1, 2. Out and back. And back. Or 1, 2. Right? 1, 2. Right? So what the context is, or the goal is to get those 1, 2s to harmonize, the 1, 2 to line up together. Right? So we'll start off slow in stance. So it's going to be 1, 2. Right? And we're going to go backwards. 1, 2. And I'm kind of stopping so you get more of a auditory clue on that. 1, 2, and 1, 2. The whole goal of this is get the core, get the body behind the strikes. Like some systems move and strike, some people strike and move. I get it. Everybody has a little different spin on it, and there's no wrong answer. Right? This is just the way that Irish stick fighting done. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 3. All right. So let's try it a little bit quicker. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Again. 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2. One more time. Back. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's do it in multiple takes now. So we're going to step forward a couple of times. Whatever we can fit in the mat, we'll see if we can get 2 or 3 in there. So we're going to go front. Don't break the camera. And 2. We'll go to the left twice. And back to the right twice. Good. Again. 1, 2. Let's do 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Good. Right, and you can do that as many times, many directions as you want. It's really kind of cool. Let's do the double tap. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3. So that tap tap is 1 beat. Right? Let's do that again. So lead, reverse, double tap. Nice. Let's go backward. Lead, reverse, double tap. Again, the only time we're going to retreat in Doyle is to kind of gain a little space. If she's charging it on me, I need to step back just a little bit to get that strike in. That's what I'm going to do. Outside of that, there's very little backward motion. That makes sense. One more time. Lead, reverse, double tap. And then lead, reverse, double tap. Good. Excellent. Excellent work. Okay, welcome back. I have my actually modern self-defense kind of shirt on today. It's too warm. I'm sure you guys are wearing me out. So we learned some good footwork. We learned how to strike. It's all great. But if you get hit, it doesn't matter, right? So let's talk about some blocking. Right? All the strikes in the world, all the folks are great. If you get hit, it's over, right? It turns into a fight. So let's talk about this. You're still going to use that same stance. We're going to start off in bits and pieces. The first strike we're always going to assume is a pub strike. A pub strike means we're probably not going to be working off a lot of Doyle fighters. We're all sort of the same family, right? So they don't strike that way. But a pub strike is this kind of stuff. Like this kind of thing. Sometimes we'll switch hands, but it's a big looping strikes that you're going to see. You're out in a bar, you're in Ireland, you're in a pub, and check out somebody's sister, you insult their mom, whatever case may be, and it turns into a fight. And this guy's like, you big jerk, and he's going to come after you. That's what we're going to work against, just to give you some basic ideas. We're just going to go over the first 3 blocks. There are multiple generations of blocks. In generation 1, kind of that beginner to intermediate level, there's 11. Generation 2, there's actually 20. All right, so you've got a total of that. And that kind of gets you going from there. So but we're just going to do the first couple of basic blocks. Quite frankly, I believe in the origination of the system, these were the blocks. Now, a lot were added over the generations and stuff, but these are the 3 kind of foundational blocks. Very simple, actually. So from here, what you're going to do is you're going to jump the stick to go for number 1. I'm going to assume it's a right-handed diagonal attack, right? As Trish comes in, it's coming from this direction, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to jump the stick, get to as close to the edge as you can. We're not going to do any footwork here. Just jump the stick, boom. Block goes up at a 45-degree angle off from the body. Plain and simple. Elbows up, right, this way. I usually keep that arm a little bit beyond 90 degrees, side of the structure, and then back. So number 1 is here. Okay. Now, let's talk about jumping the stick for a second. As we mentioned in the beginning, shillelaghs that were used very similar to this. Okay, with thorns and stuff on it. A lot worse, a lot harder, or a lot sharper, I should say. In order for me to do that, I need to jump over those thorns to get into a block position. If I scrape my hands along those original thorns, I'm going to cut myself up. That's going to be the problem, right? So when you say jump the stick, you're literally jumping the thorns to get to the places where it was shaved on the ends and back to where I would hold my hands, right? And there's 2 reasons for jumping the stick. One, of course, is what we just talked about, jumping the thorns. But 2, it gives me that wider blocking space. Okay? If I just do a little bit and I jump, there's a really good chance that my hands are still going to be kind of in the line of attack, right? So we can jump and block. Our blocks are straight in. This will work here in a second. So what I want to do is, as I do it, I want to jump the stick, step, do that heel toe drag, get me in position. So jump the stick, boom, here. We want to have it as vertical as possible. One time, boom. And one more time. Good. So if I'm going to strike Trish, right, I'm going to come in with a big old right-handed pub strike. Boom. He steps in and blocks. All right, move to the side. Better. If I'm here, if I come in, you see how our hands are very wide. She's got good support. Hopefully vertical. One more time. Now, the reason we go straight in, there's a couple reasons, but the reason that we go straight in is because we're an in close system. There are variations that people teach where they step out at an angle and do this, totally justified. Right? The way we've been taught is you step straight in. So if she comes to me, I come here, I want to be close enough where I can start working my magic. Right? Hit, rather than having to readjust. So again, many systems do a 45, do an angled stick, all cool stuff. Just the venue of which we've been taught is you go straight in, right? Close enough to be everything to right here. Okay. Rather than re-engage. As far as keeping the stick totally straight, if I come in and I angle that stick, there's a chance, since it's a diagonal strike, it's going to come down and break my knuckle. Can't hold the stick, you can't fight, right? So we go straight in, straight stick. Right? So we'll go back to the camera again. So number one, jump, step. Jump, step. Back. Good. Number two is coming from the other end. So if this is angle number one, this is angle number two. You can do it either by switching hands like I just did, or I can do a crisscross. I can come here and then here. Either one is totally acceptable because it depends on the situation. For the ease of demonstration, I'm going to use one hand. 1, 2. One, two. Yeah, she stepped right in, crowding me because she can stop and follow up with any follow-up techniques. Notice one thing though, when she does number one, right foot forward, right foot forward. She goes back to the right side lead. So number two, he steps with the left foot, right? Which makes perfect sense when you think about it. One, it closes that distance. Two, we use the terminology face your work. When she does a number one, her hips are aligned to give her strength around that block, right? She does number two, don't step, right? Here, it seems kind of cool, right? But man, you're in a really bad position right there. So if I block this way, right, with the power that's coming in from a stick strike, I could very easily get knocked off balance. I don't have that third leg of the tripod that can be balanced. So what she does is number one, number two. Now she's facing her work. She's got her hips, the strong part of her body facing into the block. That makes sense. Good. So we're just gonna do ones and twos, so you guys can have practice along. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Now, if we notice, she's not necessarily stepping back into a full reset position because we're just doing the speed drill. If you do full speed, it looks like this. 1, take back, 2, okay, all the way back. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. Now, keep in mind, you're probably not going to block more than once, but this is just to get the muscle memory, just to get the context, because she comes in with the 1, bam, she's going to take me out from here, whatever that happens to be, right? We're not going to sit here and go like this, right? All right, that's not how we do it. We're going to get in there and take it out. Right? Make sense? All right, so try the ones and twos. We'll do it one more time. 1, for those of you who don't have fun. 2. All right, and then we'll, I almost got into 3. See that? We got all excited, guys. Get more excited. Let's do 1 and 2 a couple times. 1, 2, 1, half, 3. Back to reset. 1, half, 2. Back to reset. 1, half, 2. Back to reset. Good. We're just going to do number 3 now.
I could put interjection. When you're doing 1 and 2, something to keep in mind is your positioning with your high arm. So the arm that's up here, whether it's here or here, make sure that you can still see where you're going. Some people will come in and they'll do this. I don't know what he's doing. Don't disable yourself. When you come in here, either go above or below, it doesn't matter. But you're going to want to make sure that you have that clear kind of vision. And it's really going to depend on how high of a strike he is coming in with. If he's coming in super high, I might have to come up here, or I can come here. But you want to make sure that the vision is clear.
Good. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's do number 3. Number 3 is a little different, and we really love number 3. Right. What many people think is going to happen is number 3 is going to be this. Right. When you're thinking about the speed of a shillelagh and the weight of a shillelagh, it's not a rattan stick. If you do something a little bit heavier, you don't know how heavy it's going to be. Some branches and shrubs are pretty thick. Right. If I just do this, right, there's a half 50% chance that she's just going to crack right through that stick, right? So there's a couple things going on. What we do is, as I go in for number 3, we'll show you what it looks like first, right? Here. I open one hand, right? I don't jump the stick in this case, I open one hand. It does not matter which hand you want to open. It could be the right one, could be the left one, just doesn't matter, all right? It's up to you. For a couple of reasons. One, I want to open my blocking space. So from here, by doing that, my blocking space now just became 2/3 of the stick, all right? So as she comes in, right, this whole section of block with. That makes sense. The other thing is we're getting in there, we're getting on person. Now, you can get here and catch it here and drive it forward, that's fine. Come in and just drive it, right? What you do is you're gonna come and you're gonna kind of, as you block forward, you kind of bring it around and you go back to reset. Block forward, back to reset. What I try to do myself is I try to get to it before it's past that apex of the strike. If you look at this at 12 o'clock, okay, and on the video that would be, yes, 1 o'clock? Yeah, sure. And here would be 11. I usually try to get to it before 12 o'clock. Because I'll tell you what. When I come in, I'm pushing forward. If I push forward and bring it down, and it's before it hits that 12 o'clock mark, right? It's going to go back into her face, right? In here. Boom! If I get to it when it's on the way, I can beat that. I can drive it forward and really kind of get in there again. A little risk for me. If I drive it forward, don't go far enough, I can bring it down, bang, it's going to hit me in the face, right? So if it gets to be past 12 o'clock and I try to go down, there's a chance it's going to rotate on that wrist, right? So what we try to do is we try to get to here and then rake it down back in, and that causes a smash back in our own face. That makes sense. So we'll do 3 kind of on our own for a second. Go with a very pretty big deep step. It's 3. Good. You're blocking and bringing it back on. Block. Good. Block. Good. So if I do it with Trish, I'll hit her. So go. Boom. Move your head out of the way. You work with a partner. It's because you're gonna get it there. So come in, go. Boom, there it is. Boom, there it is. All right, boom, there it is. Yep, so we're coming up and we're moving in. Bang. Makes sense? So we'll do 1, 2, and 3 in succession. 1, go way back, 2, 3. Bam. 1, 2, 3. Bam. There it is. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There it is. Great. Good. Okay, welcome back. Like many martial arts in the world, we do have a kata, a form, okay, that gives us kind of the kind of foundation of a lot of the techniques in the system. What we do is called a rinka. A rinka in Irish is dance. So the first part of that is called the rinka hain. Rinka means dance, a hain means 1. So first dance. Reason I call it dance, again, because like many martial arts cultures in the past, when they were occupied, or in this case, had a small spat with the British for 300 years, there's certain things they weren't allowed to do. So they would see a bunch of guys down the field swinging sticks, and they'd walk over with their brigade and their uniforms, and they'd say, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" And they'd say, "Rinka hain." They take out their Irish to British dictionary, and they look and they go, "Oh, first dance. Okay, you guys are good, right?" And what they're really doing was they're putting combative application into more of a dance kind of move, like capoeira or many other martial arts that do that. We're not going to demonstrate the rinka here. We might pull some moves out of it. But we're not going to demonstrate the whole thing. It's never been filmed in entirety on video, to my knowledge. We don't put it out in public, which brings me back to the point about this video is strictly for you guys, right? This is not something that we put out there. Let me back up for a second. The reason we do that is because we're very specific about keeping the quality of instruction as high as it can be. And too many times in the past, we've seen people, even within Doyle, watch Doyle videos and go out and go, "Oh, I'm a Doyle instructor." If you're not feeling this, if you're not really under a qualified instructor, really understanding these moves and these principles and concepts, man, it's just not going to work out. So we will show you a couple of moves from the rinka, but it's not the full rinka by any means. All right, the full rinka has 28 moves to it. We're going to go over a couple. We'll take a couple out somewhere else, just to give you an idea of how these things can work. So we're here, we're in a fight. And I'm gonna have her block. I'm gonna do a lead reverse combination, looks like this, lead, reverse. So she's blocked one-handed both ways, right? Whole different set of blocks. The one, here. And this one we call chase the stick, right? What chase the stick is designed to do is we've got to pin that stick back against your opponent, right? So the swing stops. We're here, all right? So we'll do that one more time. 1, 3, boom. So now, if she gets her in the face, I consider that a bonus, right? But the goal is really to pin that stick back. If I get a collarbone shot at the same time, right, then it's a bonus. Because you can see that stick right here, right? One more time, we'll back up a bit. It's perfect. See how this is up here from the reverse? This sets this up perfectly. It shoots like an arrow. It doesn't come up and slap down. It goes right here. Then if I'm going to move forward, I'll clear that stick out of the way. I'll catch her across the face and hit her with the butt in the head. If that makes any sense. All right. So she does it to me. 3. She clears that stick out of the way. Hits me in the face. Bam. Comes back the other way.
And actually, that's something I just did something I want to talk about. So we touched a little bit on this. This was in your warm up, the move called crescent move, where you're just kind of going side by side. That's an actual move. We just did it. John said, you're hitting with the butt. Everything is everything. It doesn't just apply to, or it doesn't apply just to applications, but it applies to the techniques themselves. So I could hit him with the butt or with the head if I'm coming in this direction. I could also, if I'm a little deeper, get the other side, get him with the arm. So it's an arm strike to the neck, which if you get that just right, you can drop him. So I'm hitting him here, and that actually sets me up even more so for body manipulations. I'm right here, I've got him. I can do all kinds of really fun stuff to move him around and put him where I want him. So it's you have variations on your depth as well as your application.
Bam.
Stick out there. Strike him. Get another strike him. Maybe I do a little squeeze. Put it in the body. So yeah, you're unlimited options really at that point.
So do that one more time, and on your own, you can practice these. Lead, reverse, chase it, chase the stick. Lead, reverse, chase the stick. And one more time, lead, reverse. Another thing we did in the beginning was punching the shoulder. In essence, that's the same clearing move I did on Trish just now. Right, I'm at lead, reverse, chase the stick, move it out of the way. All right, so everything just kind of all gels together. It's really awesome. The greatest thing about Doyle is it's so practical and functional, yet it doesn't take you forever to learn. All right, there's not unlimited techniques. There's plenty, but a lot of it's just so natural, so easy to do. So let's show you a couple more. This is a very simple two move kind of a thing. One of the basic moves we do is you do a say hello, and we do something called say goodbye. Because let's face it, the Irish are very nice. If you say hello, it's only good manners to say goodbye, right? So say hello from this position is simply this. Bam! Right into the stomach. Okay? So I'm here, or maybe she's giving me some shit about something, I don't know. And I go, look, I don't want any problems for her. Right here in the stomach. When you nail somebody, boom, they're gonna bend over. So that's that stomach kind of that. Say goodbye is here. I step in a little bit more and I come straight down on the back of the head. So the say hello / say goodbye combination is say hello, say goodbye. This is straight down. This isn't a big. Because look how close she is once I get here. It's straight down on the back of the head. One more time. Say hello. Say goodbye. Try that. So on your own, it's say hello. See, the stick is sliding. It's not this. This is a different technique. One hand. Say hello. Step a little bit. Say goodbye. Good. One more time. Say hello. Say goodbye. And the last time, say hello. Good.
What's crucial to this is you have to bring it back. You have to chamber. So it's not where you're saying hello and now you're trying to come in here and make up some kind of distance. It's a jab, it's a poke, it's a boom. That's really what it is. except it's with a stick. So you're giving them a jab, and now you're coming back, so you have your stick. Because I don't know if say goodbye is my next move, do I? I do here in these, four walls with my partner here. But out in the real world, I might do say hello, and he backs way the hell up, or he falls down. So that might not be what I want, but I want my stick back. I know I want that. So make sure you're bringing it back, chambering it there a little bit, not way back, but so it's comfortable. And then you can move in. But don't leave it out there, because odds are you might even lose it.
And I don't know if it was really picked up on because we were talking about this stuff. It's footwork. Right? Footwork is everything. Right? When she said hello, she stepped in. Right? The power is coming from the body movement. That's where it's coming from, not just focus on the stick. So she steps in, boom, that's quite a poke. That's quite a jab to the old butt, right?
And think about your timing too. I mean, we're kind of getting into really esoteric stuff, but this is the fun shit. When you're stepping in, your foot should land when your stick lands. So I'm not gonna go, I got nothing there. It's not doing any advantage to me. What I wanna do is start my step when I start my poke and land when it lands on him, and then bring it back. And it's the same thing for say goodbye, say goodbye. When I'm here and I'm doing my little stutter step, I'm gonna lift it when I land my move, when I land my stick. It should happen at the same time.
I'm good?
Yeah.
All right, so to close out, we're just gonna give you a couple of our favorite techniques. I'm thinking I'll do sort of pot. You guys see that? Come on and kill me. So you have video evidence, right? One of my favorite moves is called stir the pot. It's a little difficult to really get on your own, and you really need to have a partner, but if you have a chance, give it a try. Stir the pot looks like this. Here. Doesn't look like much here, but I'll show you what it's going to be. She throws a backhand strike. I block. Okay. I'm going to say hello to the face. Right here. So she comes in. Say hello. What that does for me is it gets me on the inside. I teach my students wrist on wrist. Okay, this way. Because the move I'm going to do is a catch where I come in, and this is a hook to the wrist. Sorry. All right. So you come in, I block, I say hello, bam. I literally scoop that under the wrist. I think you can see that. And as I sit back or step back, right, and pull her into this. Now I can punch, right, with my hand. If I'm a little further down, I can punch with the end of the bottom of the stick, right? I can do all kinds of nasty things. I can step back, I can hit knees, ribs, face, right? So a little bit quicker, she comes in, step in, bang, I'm here, boom, boom, boom. All kinds of nasty, nasty things you could do to these people with an Irish stick and the right training, right? So my favorite again, here, bang, stir the pot, there it is. Now from this position, if I wanted to, because I know what's coming to me next, so I'm gonna do this to her now. I'm gonna step in a certain way we didn't really talk about, but watch what happens when I have her here, right? There's the tape. A little harder to tell when you're not going 100%, but I think you guys got the idea, right? Come in, boom, here, bang. Since I've got this locked in, I'm simply going to turn. Now, as they say, payback is a bitch.
Okay, this is a really fun move.
Put me all the way now, I just can't.
Oh no, I'm just gonna. So this can come off of either a strike, so you can do a lead strike, or it can come off of a block, a number 2 block. The goal is you want to be here. You want to be in this position. So when I've made contact, whether it's striking and he's blocking, or it's I'm blocking because he just strikes, I want to be here. What you want to do is you want to get this extension. You need to get the stick back here. While I'm doing that, I might as well take a hit. So I've got him here, I've got the stick out of the way, it's blocked really here, and I'm gonna shoot through, and this will probably be a strike to the chin or a strike to the neck. I don't really care, because it's gonna suck. No matter what I do, I don't need to worry about it. Just hit something on your way through. You're gonna come through here, and the goal is you wanna get around behind him. I'm actually gonna turn this way. I want to think. So I come here, so you're gonna step till it goes back to the whole fencing thing. I step in as I get that, and I come around, and now I'm gonna kind of disengage from the feet. I've got him here. So I've got him choked in the front, either with the stick if I'm a real asshole, or with my arm, either one is fine. And now I've got him. And so my choices really are endless. I could walk him out if I was being a nice guy, but I'm not. So what I'll probably do is, I'm not gonna do it, but I would back up and just drop him down. Or leave my knee there, if I'm really an asshole, and drop him on the knee. And his spine will just go on the back of my knee. So one more time. Here, shoot this through. I come around. Now the grip you don't want an overhand, you want under the stick. That really gives you a nice cinch. And you're gonna bring him right to your chest. So now I control him. If I don't do that, if I'm here, he's got distance, he's got space, he can do all kinds of things. Remember, when you leave space, it's space for them to do things too. So I'm gonna take care of that. And now what is he gonna do? Nothing. So probably I'll just step right back and drop him right on my knee, and it's gonna suck for him. That's one of my favorite ones. One of them.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Not so fun for me, but fun for us. Great. Well, I think that pretty much takes up the time and covers most of what we talked about. If we forgot anything, we'll give you a couple options. Reach out to us directly if you want to get some one-on-one and extra stuff. We're happy to get together with you. Our instructor Bernie teaches via Zoom, and we're happy to get together and answer some questions and stuff. But if you want full-blown training, or you want to train in the full system and get recognized and certified, right now Bernie's the guy to go to. We'll be doing that in sometime in the future, but right now this is how we go about it. Bernie's amazing. I tell you, great guy, phenomenal martial artist, just the coolest guy ever. So you really enjoy that. So if any questions, reach out to us. We can be reached through Bill. We can be reached at our website, www.theirishstick.com. All right, it's definitely The Irish Stick. There's no organization as Irish Stick, so www.theirishstick.com. And happy to answer any, what's that?
Facebook group.
Oh, there's a Facebook group.
Join the
Not only
Facebook group.
We've
It's
got a
so much
Facebook
fun.
group we started a little over a year ago. Keeping in mind that in the beginning, Irish Stick was still pretty close to the vest, and Bernie was really kind of I'd say he was the primary guy getting it out there. And when we hooked up with Bernie a couple of years back, we decided, hey, let's get this out here. So we started a Facebook group, not really thinking about it was always close to the vest, to be honest with you. Right now, there's about 6,000 people on this Facebook group. It's called The Irish Stick on Facebook. And we've done great things to try to help promote the art and promote the system. I'll tell you what, guys, I'll say this again. I've been in the martial arts for over 30 years, and this is the first time that I've been excited in a really long time about any of the arts that I've done. We are in love with this art. It is just brilliant. The body mechanics and the techniques and everything goes with it. It's just fantastic. And it's not that hard to learn. You can really pick it up relatively quickly. It goes deep as you want to go. So, all right. So I hope this was a benefit to you guys. Again, I apologize for the technical issues at the beginning when we trained with Bill. Again, this is not for public consumption. Please keep this to yourselves. We'll get that distributed out to you in an appropriate way. If you have any questions, just reach out. All right. Anything else?
No, I think we're good.
Thank you very much.